Welcome into the bunker of General Gridiron, field marshal of football forecasting. We're about to map out the way this college football weekend is gonna go. Will your favorite team be marching to victory, or will the enemy be taking your battle flag? Hard to believe, but we're not far from the halfway point of this exciting college football frenzy, and the tide is a-rolling. But who, if anyone, can step up and knock the elephants from their mountain? The answer just might come this Saturday. So grab your helmet and man those battle stations. We're ready for another round of General Gridiron's football foretelling. Florida at Tennessee. Two new coaches and two teams who can't stand each other. The Gators slip out of the swamp and up to Neyland for one exciting rivalry game in the SEC East. The Vols haven't been doing Rocky Top too proud, but the Swamp Lizards finally failed to chomp Kentucky for the first time in 31 years, and that's got to be rattling them. Big Orange may have the home field advantage, but the Mullinator will come away with the W. The Generals victor, chomp chomp, Florida. Notre Dame at Wake Forest. After squeaking out a win against the Music City Sailors, the Fighting Irish are traveling to Tobacco Road to square off with the Deacons of Wake Forest. ND may be ranked 8th in the country, but don't sleep on the pulpit protagonist. The Catlicks have yet to win any game by a large margin, and BB&T's home field may be just enough of an edge to give the Baptist a prayer. Still, Brian Kelly's squad has the better defense. You know what the General says about bringing a strong D. The General's overhyped victor, Notre Dame. Georgia at Missouri. The Clemson Tigers have their first conference game against the number 2 team in the country. UGA has proven to be no joke, silencing the Columbia Poultry Company 2 weeks ago. Drew Lock's right arm and the rest of the Mizzou team has also had a strong start to the season, and there's certainly no Arkansas. But the Dogs haven't just played teams, they've dominated them. And to the General, a cat is still a cat no matter how big, and canines chase cats. The Generals victor, Georgia. Clemson at Georgia Tech. We interrupt this program to warn you about an upcoming earthquake called the Clemson defensive line. These boys are Huge, huge, and they are hungry for some tackles. The Carolina Jungle Beasts have continually stuffed runs each and every game. Meanwhile, the North Avenue Geeks have struggled this season, and they'll have to do their best to buy QB Taquan Marshall, who seems fond of interceptions, some time. The thing is, Yellow Jackets might sting, but in the end, they're still just a little bitsy pest on the Tigers' path to greatness. The Generals victor, Clemson big. Stanford at Oregon. Now we're cooking. Either the Ducks or the Cardinals lose their perfect season, and these two ranked teams are about as close as they come. The Tall Trees have had the tougher opponents, but look for Oregon to keep up their strong offensive game. These Pac-12 neighbors are balanced dudes, but the General doesn't negotiate. He says that the Ducks roost in the Redwoods this Saturday. The Generals victor, quack quack, Oregon. Ahead on General Gridiron, Weird Austin will get even weirder if the Hook'ems have a second consecutive top 25 at DKR. This time versus TCU. And Commodore Cornelius and Cocky have an SEC East pillow fight in Tennessee's capital city. Keep it here. General Gridiron will be right back.
I was living in a shelter juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Howdy, soldiers. This is General Gridiron back with you. Each week, this fabulous football forecast is heard on some of the finest radio stations all over the South and the North, including Everett, Pennsylvania, WZSK AM 1040, News Talk 1040, and WLIL FM 102.7 in Farragut, Tennessee, home of Trading Post in the morning and classic country favorites all day. We appreciate all of our radio affiliates. Now, Let's get back into the football fight. Mississippi State at Kentucky. Well, looky here. Another slobbering ankle biters versus cantankerous cats contest. Mississippi State takes the bus up to Lexington this week. The Cowbell Clangers have done a phenomenal job of playing absolutely nobody. It seems most think this is an easy call, but UK is no joke this year. State head honcho Joe Moorhead has a great team, but this will be their first real challenge at the grocery store. This SEC cross-divisional rivalry may come down to a field goal, and Jace Christman's leg is super accurate. The Generals victor, Cowbell, Mississippi State. TCU at Texas. The great philosopher Kinky Friedman once proclaimed, "Everything is bigger in Texas." But the margin of this game might contradict that. The Bovines pulled off a huge win last week against USC, and in Arlington, the Horned Frogs weren't squashed too badly in a loss against the number 4 Buckeyes. The Cowtown Christians have repeatedly put the hurt on the Horns since 2013, and this is probably the Longhorns' best team since then. Revenge is a-comin' on the 40 acres. The Generals victor, Texas. Texas A&M at Alabama. Reveille put up a valiant fight a few weeks back against superpower Clemson, but her bark and bite better get a lot nastier. The next one's even tougher. The Ags travel to Tuscaloosa to face the defending natty holders, and best of luck to them. Maybe if this game were at Kyle Field, A&M's milkmen, a.k.a. yell leaders, would give them a better shot. But the Tide rolling it home with their new killer offense and always on top D makes this one just too easy. The Generals victor, Alabama. Texas Tech at Oklahoma State. The masked rider gallops across the Red River to the home of the Pokes. Okie State has looked pretty good in 2018, even beating Boise State by a goodly amount. Tech hasn't had the start they wanted since that first loss against the Mississippi Fish, but they've been showing good offense. Unfortunately for the Red Raiders, OSU has shown off an even better defense. Garth Brooks U is going to push John Denver U all the way back to Lubbock, and they'll lasso their 4th win. The Generals victor, Oklahoma State. South Carolina at Vanderbilt. The Cockle-Doodle-Doos get to play this week after Tropical Storm Florence canceled a home game against Marshall. Jake Bentley, Debo Samuel, and company go to Music City and clash with the Doors, who just barely lost to Notre Dame. Honestly, Carolina did the best they could against Georgia, and it looked just a tad better than what Vandy and QB Kyle Shermer are capable of. Neither bunch has a dynamite defense, so look for a high-scoring but nip-and-tuck game on West End. The Generals victor, South Carolina. We've already looked at the weekend's biggest battles across the nation, but hang on to your helmet, there's more around the corner. We'll be back in a moment to wrap up this week's General Gridiron with our rapid-fire picks.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
This is General Gridiron back with you. We've already maneuvered through this Week 4 weekend's frontline college football showdowns. Now, it's time to fix bayonets and storm the field with our rapid-fire football forecast. Michigan drops Nebraska to 0-3. Boston College beats the Beans out of Purdue. Washington waxes Arizona State. Mississippi resuscitates versus Kent State. Samford slips by Chattanooga. Pittsburgh continues North Carolina's misery. Virginia tops Louisville. West Virginia wallops Kansas State. Virginia Tech beats Old Dominion in the Tidewater. Baylor puts Kansas back on a road loss streak. Indiana slam dunks Michigan State. Auburn, of course, over Arkansas. Wisconsin whips Iowa. Oklahoma bombards Army. James Madison crowns William and Mary. LSU escapes against Louisiana Tech. Southern Miss cooks rice. NC State gets the road W at Marshall. And Ohio State will urbanize Tulane. Well, now you can put your swords back in their scabbards. We're all out of picks on this week's edition of General Gridiron. We'll be back again next week. Same General Gridiron time, same General Gridiron station. So don't forget to tune us in on the radio, Facebook, YouTube TV, and the Y'all Show, Dixie's hottest talk show. And don't forget to tell your friends all about the show. Just search for General Gridiron. This is John Rawl, the General of Gridiron Glory, thanking you for letting me be a part of your weekend. This episode was written by Murray Lee. General Gridiron is a production of CRM Sports. For more, log on to crmsports.com.
That'll be all.